Hello, welcome to the local cemetery. I am your host, Timothy. What I am hosting, I don't know at all, but welcome. Whether you come here for entertainment or musings or simply to know what the long-haired weird person sounds like a surfer or something else, welcome to the local cemetery. I love the cemetery. I love the energy here. I think it's because it's this fusion of reality and mystery and beauty. And there's just this kind of respect and reverence and this silence that's here. It's very rare to find such a place in today's world. And it's interesting how reality and mystery really seem to meet so tangibly here. Because it seems to me that since you consider that, we all sort of end up here at the end of the day, it's very interesting. None of us really actually know what happens. It is a mystery. Nobody knows. A lot of people may come to your door and ask you if you know where you're going after you die and have a whole lot of information and even have all the citations right and everything. But at the end of the day, we're all kind of dropped off right here. And it's very interesting too because, obviously there's some similarities here. We have all these headstones and yet they're all considerably different. There's Galovich and Gosage and Willis and, you can sort of see even some who might be a more outrageous personality by their own headstone. And so it's very interesting because we all sort of go out in the same way and yet we sort of go out in our own unique way. And that's the same way we come into life too. This whole birth and death thing, which, we don't know where we're coming from and where we're going. And yet we all know that this is inevitable. It is reality, which means that we cannot inevitably escape it, and that makes a lot of people uncomfortable. I think the finality of not knowing makes many people uncomfortable, which is why we have so much of the prescriptions and the you know where you're going after your death, because I think there's a great sense of comfort that comes from trying to give something else other than the finality to our existence, because it's vast, it's huge, it's scary, it is mysterious. And yet I feel that this is really a reverence to reality. It's a reverence to nature. It's a reverence to God that we have no idea. We have no idea. It is a mystery with a capital M. And so there is this, we don't really know what's going on, but I don't know. I don't know what's going on, that's for sure. Mercury square my Neptune. There is something I wanted to talk about, though. I think I'm going to sit down in case anybody's getting seasick. What is it that I want to talk about? Oh, yeah. Being in the cemetery. Reality that's daunting and above our heads and scary and, thick at the same time. I love Savannah. I love the cemeteries here because there's this thickness and this richness that is there. But at the same time, it really is daunting. It really is daunting. I think I'll set the camera right here. It is daunting, the mystery. And so it's hard to tell the truth when the truth is difficult to talk about. Yeah. That's maybe the hardest part of life I'm starting to realize, is actually admitting the tough truths, such as the one we just described, such as the mystery, such as the not knowing and the finality and the simultaneous not being able to grab. And so there is this respect. Very interesting how the golf course and the cemetery and the public school all merge around here. Life is very, very interesting. So we don't know very much, and yet there is nature, and nature is apparent. There is this reality that we will inevitably have to succumb to or be a part of. And this is birth, and this is death. And, I think that what can also be a challenging and difficult truth to say and admit is that there's no one-size-fits-all. There's no answer that is going to complete anybody, that's going to be the right answer. Life is very much a discovering what is true for ourselves, and none of us know the truth in this sort of finality, because we all have this perspective that comes into a limited human form. We're born not in an all-pervaded form. We are born into a limited, in a body, in a form, and eventually we go out. And how this happens, and what happens throughout this time, this is reflected in the nature of the birth chart. The birth chart is actually like this cemetery. It is something that we don't get to really understand or choose or know, and yet it is nature. It is what it is. And, the birth chart and the gift of astrology, it's a profound, profound gift. And we are only just beginning to acknowledge this gift and what it really is, because it gives us a lens to observe nature, reality. There's no arguing that this is just how nature is when you are born. That's the birth chart. The personal interpretation of these things, that's different. And any good astrologer, it's not coming from a personal interpretation. It's coming just saying the nature that's there. And we've been doing this for thousands of years, and this is the nature that's there. And so we're born into a nature, and our nature is different than every other person's nature on the planet. Our nature is completely unique. It's not a one-size-fits-all reality. We're all coming to this place here eventually, but we're coming under different names, different forms. All of these gravestones, they have different things that these people cherished, and they have different symbols that encapsulate this absolute reality and this mystery differently for each person. And to dismiss or say that anyone is right or is wrong, how is, this is, who knows? Who knows? We just respect one another's different versions of approaching and learning reality and the truth. And none of us knows the truth, period. Nobody. We are all learning about this mystery, as far as I can tell, eternally. And we have been for thousands and thousands of years, maybe even since the time that we were apes. And this continues. And the truth evolves. And humanity evolves. And what humanity means to us evolves. And what this world means to us evolves. And what death means to us evolves. And there is a beauty in the telling, the unfinished telling. And simultaneously, there is a seriousness. There is a seriousness that also goes very underappreciated. And that seriousness is the fact that we don't know, and it is still reality. The seriousness is that we don't know, and we go through experiences that are not all just fun. They are serious sometimes. They are seriously even unpleasant sometimes. And we don't always know why those things happen either. A lot of times my clients ask me, Why do the really terrible things happen in the world? Why has this happened to me? Why has this happened to my loved ones? Why has this happened to my friends? And I don't know. I ask the same questions. And this is something that we are experiencing and learning about very much together. And there is a seriousness that is there. There is a seriousness in the suffering and the sadness. And the suffering and the sadness isn't completely answered for yet. There's no simple solutions or cure-alls. We are exploring this all together. We're trying to figure out this stuff ourselves. And as this happens, it continues to evolve. And one way I think it evolves is that it gets more complicated and more far out and more inconceivable as we continue to evolve. We see reality in deeper and deeper, more meaningful, more is processed, more is conscious way. It's like we have discovered these planets one after the next, and our consciousness is somewhat expanding. And now we've discovered all of these extra dwarf planets and all of these asteroids, and astrologers wonder what this is going to symbolize, all this discovery. Life is very complicated. It is overwhelming. And in many cases, I feel like we are very much in over our heads. And admitting that is the first step of coming back into this reverence of what reality is, of what humanity is, of what we're all doing together. And I think that we can all appreciate that there is no one-size-fits-all as we evolve more into this amazing complexity of life. And how you just can't disrespect any person for really believing or seeing the way they do, because everybody is learning something different. And that is the reality that gets reflected in the nature of the birth chart. It's not coming from hypothesis or belief system. It's not. It's reflected in the nature. You see it, it's there. You see it, it's there. You see it, it's there. It's perfectly tangible. It's perfectly provable that nobody is here on the same journey. Nobody. And our truth is different, and our way of connecting is different, and what we're learning and why we're learning it is completely different. So how can we dismiss or not acknowledge anything? And there is some somberness in the reality of the birth chart happening, of the fact that the birth chart is a reflection of this reality and this mystery that we are. That is revering nature. That is revering ourselves. That is revering where we are. And so, I think it's very common sometimes for people to be very afraid of astrology, of the definite nature of the birth chart, that you were born at this time and this symbol encapsulates you in a certain respect. And I am one of those astrologers that sees this. I see that this encapsulation happens. And so there are many, some astrologers say, oh, well, are you the same person that you were in your birth chart? No, you've evolved and you're different, so you're not your birth chart anymore. And the birth chart reflects your nature. It just does. It reflects your entire life. It reflects not the part of you that changes through life, but the entire process, the entire folding. The birth chart is like the seed that contains the whole thing. And it's not about determinism or predicting the future or this is going to happen to you. That's not the reality. It is more mysterious than this. It is that this is your nature, and how you take your nature and what you do with your nature, and how you celebrate your nature, this is all up to us. And who can say what's the right way or what's the wrong way is beyond me. I don't actually know all the time. But one thing I can say with some certainty is that reality is not always what it appears. Certainly not in a place where there's nobody in this entire huge cemetery. Nobody's here, because this is not the apparition that most people want in their life. people have a reality that's very, very different, that does not have any mysterious, we don't really know, this is coming ultimately included at all. At all. And it's missing that type of reverence and that type of mysterious, what can we ultimately do to change nature that we are born into, and we are. This is everything. We're coming out of a period. We are in a period that does not want to look at reality. It does not really want to be seen for what it is, and nobody really wants to get a dose of what we don't already know because it's out of our comfort zone. It is scary. And yet, if we can break that type of hesitancy to plunge into this place, I think that actually the mystery defines us a lot better than anything else. And that brings up another very important point that kind of connects back to the questions of why the suffering. And I don't really have any answers, but I don't know. We're all learning here, and we're all learning different lessons, and it seems to me that wisdom does not just come from one place or the next place. It can come from many different places. And so, much the same as, us not prejudicing against one form of religion or the next form of religion, let's not prejudice against the places that wisdom can come from. It's like there's these chakras, and it's like, in the old days, it's still very much about the upper chakras and, getting out of our body, getting out of our emotions, out of our raw feelings and instincts. And there has been a very serious disregard of the wisdom that comes from this place down below, from the primordial, from the instinctual feelings that tap back into our ancestors, going thousands and thousands of years of evolution back into our DNA. This is a very different type of wisdom. And I see many people learning different types of wisdom. This is what gets reflected in nature. And so, many of us are learning solar plexus lessons right now with this Mars retrograde conjoined with the full moon in Sagittarius. Happy full moon. And many of us are getting lessons from the root chakra and all of our chakras, in fact, but the slower ones are the least understood. I think particularly the root chakra. And the root chakra is where we are here in the cemetery. It is survival. It is fundamental reality. Our survival drive is provoked by our fear of death because we're supposed to survive and keep going. Why? We don't really know, but this stuff comes from this very lower instinctual part of ourself. And we're coming out of an age where there has been some very serious threats of this type of security. Fundamental, like your life is in danger, you're being physically thrown under the bus and in the worst type of fear and devastation that is possible for a human being to experience. Some of us have gotten these lessons. We're still getting these lessons. And, why do we get these lessons that are so serious and so severe coming from these lower chakras? And I don't know. I ask these questions myself, and I pray, and all that I ever seem to get back is this kind of the mystery once again, and this kind of just wait and see. It's like we're hanging on the edge of this What is this? Why is the world like this? Why is it so bad? Why is it so hell on earth? Why is there so much physical torture? Why are we all so crazy? Why are we all so deranged? Why did we all think of escapes? It all comes back to this very serious area. It all comes back to this stuff. And the type of wisdom that is coming from learning these lessons goes back here to this mystery of what we are, where we came from, where we go. Man, I don't know. I mean, I really don't. But I get this feeling that there is just this type of truly transcendental, like, graduate's course. There is something that is more inconceivable, that all of this can happen, and it's nature, and it's like, okay, and like we can accept this? What? What? No way. I mean, pardon my French here, but life is pretty fucked up sometimes. It gets fucked. It gets fucked. It gets real dark and scary. I mean, we know it. We live on the same planet. We watch the news. How can this happen? How can this be here? How can this be a part of our nature? How can this be a part of the earth that supposedly goes through seasons of change? I mean, it just like really, stuff doesn't match up yet. It's got to go real far out. It's got to be so inconceivable, and I can't even smile at it though, because it's like we're not there. We're not there. We're trying to get there, I think. And so, what can we say about all of this and this difficult truth? It's not always easy to talk about, and yet it's so important that we do. And why is it so important that we do? So that we come into reality. We come into where we are. So there's this mystery and there's this reverence that has to be there. It has to be there. How can it be? And there's no one-size-fits-all answer that's going to give that to somebody. Like, oh, you are faced with death. You are faced with rape. You are faced with war. Here's the right answer. Here's the right book. Here's the right one-liner. How can we say that any of that respects or reveres this nature that we don't have the answers for yet? We don't have the answers for this yet. And so we're trying to get there. I mean, there's the mystery, there's the hanging cliff, here's the tough news to deliver, because it's here we are. And can we meet each other here? Can we meet each other here and have that level of reverence for each other and have that level of surrender to life? And I very much, want to share all this so that way we can sort of reaffirm to each other that we're all here in this together, because man, this is real. This is real. Like if we can meet each other here, whoa, like, what are we? What are we doing here? Whoa. Yeah, so, like, go for it. Like, let go and, like, just, let's see where it goes for us. And let's say what we need to say to our relationships and to other people that is taking a plunge into this mystery that we don't understand. And trust me, it's so easy to cop out. It's so easy to cop out. And just be like, oh, well, this is what it is because I read the book. And, oh, this is what it is because, this is what makes me feel comfortable. Because I don't want to take the plunge because it looks something beyond what I can comprehend. And it doesn't, it's not being backed up by anybody out there. I mean, this is life, It's like, it's so easy to just say what each other is saying and not speak up what nobody else is saying because we don't want to get judged. We don't want to get, opinions, especially when it comes to the hard truth stuff. And so this is a real initiation, I think. Black Moon Lilith going into Scorpio today and being here for some time. I mean, this is Mother Kali. This is Mother Kali. This is the root chakra graduates course. How can this happen? I don't know. How is this hell here? I don't know. How is this possible? I don't know. What's the solutions? I don't know. And Kali is nature. And Kali is death. She is this mystery that we don't understand. We don't have the right labels. You can never give her a label. You can't ever rubber stamp her with some defined image or form or be all end all or this is who she is and shake hands with her and you're done with it. It's never like this. And having reverence for that, I think, is going to make coming to terms with reality much easier. And if we can do that by, and we can't force each other along this journey. We all have comfort zones. We all have delusions that we formed. We all have escapes that we formed. I mean, I have so many, it's ridiculous. I'm trying to move through so much stuff. And this Mars retrograde is like creativity blocks and all of this. And it's like, we all have this stuff that blocks our creativity. How do we get into our creativity? Is by being here and authentically who we are. And just showing up and being ourselves. That's creativity. The secret to creativity is ignore what everybody else is saying and be yourself and be true. And so we're all going to be looking into these shadows and these mysteries, and Kali is going to be working with us, and she is our mother. We sort of all feed off of her breast, and she is death, and she is the womb. I mean, it is beautiful, it is mysterious, and it is treacherous. It is treacherous. Why are we not talking about the treacherous parts of life if we're trying to be real and trying to improve things and trying to heal ourselves and trying to discover ourselves and trying to be in the truth? So don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. I mean, when we hang out in places like this, it makes us not afraid of places like this. When we go into darkness, it makes us not afraid of the darkness. When you run away from demons and blame the demons, this is scary, oh, this is bad, shove it away, oh, it's not true, it's not real. I mean, what are we doing to ourselves besides making ourselves actually crazy? I mean, are we all not actually crazy right now? Yeah. So my website's below. Come buy a birth chart from me. Yeah, that was the wink that is persuading you all to buy birth charts from me. It's the best I got right now. Oh man. I love you guys. I love the opportunity to be here to share myself and to talk about this stuff. And I look forward to connecting you more and more in the future, particularly as I move through my own addictions, my own blocks, my own delusions. There's so many of them. And get more and more into this reality and this rawness and this passion and this expression that is so rich and so full of life. I look forward to it. All the best to you and your beloveds through all of it.